Auburn family, it's your boy Mike G. Before we get into today's topic, let's get the prelims out the way. Click like and subscribe so you can follow us on YouTube and get notifications of when we're going live and dropping content for you. We are at The War Report on Twitter and Instagram, TW Report on TikTok. Caesar, the big news coming out of Auburn this week. Gus Malzahn was let go in the wake of what was a very disappointing 6-4 season. And I was scrolling the comments and I kind of saw some comments from some other fans saying that as a fan base, letting go of a winning coach, that we might be delusional about where this program is at and what our expectations should be from year to year. So today I wanted to get your thoughts on where you think the program's at and what our expectations should be reasonably from year to year.
Yeah. So, first thing I would say to a lot of fans who are critical of the firing is that you need to understand what return on investment means. It means when you invest money, you should expect a greater return for that investment. And let's look at the investment that Auburn made to Gus Malzahn in 2017. For 7 years, Auburn agreed to pay this man $6.8 million. And up until the point to where he got fired, he actually was the 7th highest paid coach in the nation. So what should we expect reasonably from that? Well, number one, in my opinion, we should expect a very disciplined program. Now, sure, Gus Malzahn had a very disciplined team off the field. We heard very little of off-field issues, players getting arrested, guys were graduating, doing what they were supposed to do off the field. But as you know, being disciplined is also an on-the-field issue. And this year, we saw a lot of issues with player discipline. There were guys that jawing back and forth with the other team. You saw a lot of penalties at times. We just didn't look like a mentally focused team at times. And so I'd expect for a coach making $6.8 million is that you have your team not only disciplined off the field, but on the field. Second thing I want to see is a prepared team. That just doesn't go for players being mentally focused, as I previously mentioned, but it also goes for the coaching staff. And there were too many times during the Malzahn era that we just showed up and we just wondered, what is our identity? What is the game plan? Like, what are we trying to achieve here, especially on the offensive side of the football? I expect for a coach making $6.8 million, having the highest paid coaching staff in the nation, that we actually have a game plan week in and week out that exploits the other team's tendencies and exploits their weaknesses. So I expect that, but I also expect player development. We're talking about a football program that's been raking in top 10, top 15 recruiting classes year after year, yet we're seeing a lot of talented kids not even either see the field, transfer out, or just not reach their potential. That's a player development problem, and that's something I expect a high-paying coaching staff to be able to do year in and year out. And when you do those three things, I'm not expecting you to beat an Alabama or Georgia and LSU every year, but I am expecting you to be competitive in those games. And too often, especially on the road against our biggest rivals, it hasn't even been close. And so I expect for us to be a more competent program, which will allow us to be much more competitive on the field, putting us in the conversation to get into the playoffs, putting us in the conversation to get into the SEC championship, perhaps win the SEC championship. These are things that I think Auburn fans should realistically set their sights to. And it's one of the reasons why Malzahn is no longer the head coach at Auburn, because he did not do that consistently enough.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. Like, listen, let's be real. I don't think any Auburn fan expects us to win a national championship every year. And very few schools in college football history actually do that. But we do expect to be in the conversation. And you said it well. If we're paying him to be a top 10 coach, then I expect a top 10 product on the field, right? For $6.8 million a year, I expect Ruth's Chris and not Applebee's. Right? That's where it lands for me, right? And what we put a lot of Applebee's out on the field this year, from what I could see, and his comment about right, and his comment about 6-4 being a satisfactory season, I think was part of what indicated to us that he was not in the right mindset to take us there. Right. So are we delusional? I don't think, based on the investment, that we're delusional as fans, expecting to be in the conversation. But hey, listen, we want to hear from you. Hit the comments and tell us what you think. Hit like and subscribe, so you can hear from us and we can hear from you. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.